26th January is an important occasion for the devotees, especially in Mumbai, because we have the wonderful opportunity of getting the nectarian lecture from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. On behalf of Sri Sri Radha Ras Bihari Mandir, I heartily welcome His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj for this program. And this is the 11th year in succession. So we are very, very grateful to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj for always keeping this date free, for coming over here and encouraging and inspiring all the devotees here. And we also welcome several senior devotees who have come. His Holiness Nitai Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. We welcome Nitai Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. We also welcome His Grace Shyam Sundar Prabhu. We also welcome Sriman Mohan Babaji, and we welcome Jagat Purush Prabhu, Narottam Prabhu, Vishwadevi Mataji, Mandakini Mataji, Prabhupada disciples, Mandakini Mataji. We also welcome several senior congregational leaders from Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Mandir, Mahaprabhu Prabhu, Saurya Prabhu, Dayal Chandra Prabhu, and several other devotees. We also welcome all the congregations from Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Mandir. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a great Pandit and scholar, logician, and even in his very young age, he used to exhibit his scholarship. After sannyas, he was only chanting Hare Krishna, dancing, and making everyone to chant Hare Krishna. Every acharya, before, when they propounded a philosophy on Vedanta Sutra, they actually wrote a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, starting from Sri Shankaracharya, he wrote a commentary, Sarivata Bhashya, Ramanujacharya wrote a commentary, Sri Bhashya, Madhvacharya wrote a commentary. Every acharya has written, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propounded the ultimate philosophy of Vedanta Sutra, which is Achintya Veda Veda Tattva, but he didn't write a commentary. He only left with 8 slokas, Shikshashtaka, for us, starting from cleansing the heart, Cheto Darpanamarjanam, and ending with how Krishna is the Prananath. And everything is included in that. It is not necessary for Vedanta Sutra. So today, we have an occasion for hearing the deeper meaning of Shikshashtakam from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Radhanath Swami Maharaj doesn't need any introduction to this audience, but still there may be some guests who are invited. Plus, as a matter of our duty, we would like to introduce His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. From a very young age, so much spiritually inspired, he took a long journey home to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and he was very much instrumental in developing New Vrindavan community in the 1970s and 80s. And from 1994 onwards, he is a member of the governing body commission, GPC, and the spiritual master in ISKCON. And he is a source of inspiration for thousands and thousands of devotees around the world. And he has written 2 important books, Journey Home as well as Journey Within. And he is also inspiration for all the devotees here on this occasion. So we introduce His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj and welcome to the stage and start this evening program on Shikshashtakam. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki. We also have Mother Kami Giri Mataji from Columbus, Ohio. Yes, she is a Prabhupada disciple. Sitting next to Mandakini Mataji. Welcome, Mataji.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jnantimidantasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshuru Milidham Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Astyatyadeshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I am very grateful and very honored to be with you this evening.
Hindi translation is on FM 94.5, frequency 94.5, Hindi translation.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for being with us this evening. Shri Radha Rasbihari Temple is truly one of the most intimate holy places for all the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada throughout the world. His Holiness H.H Swami Maharaj is coming out with his book, which I read the manuscript, at least parts of it. It was over 700 pages, describing in great detail the years and years of pure unalloyed devotional service, surrender, and compassion that Srila Prabhupada manifested in making this temple a reality for us. And as soon as I finished speaking, His Holiness His Grace Sham Sundar Prabhu will be releasing his book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, Part 2, which is going to describe especially Srila Prabhupada first coming back to India with his devotees and establishing Sri Radha Rasbihari Temple, establishing his mission in Mumbai, throughout India. But just for a few minutes I'll speak something. I was asked to speak on Lord Chaitanya's instructions. Every year, devotees would come from various places to Jagannath Puri to be with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And especially when they were about to depart after spending 4 months with the Lord, He would give instructions. On one incident, Lord Chaitanya turned to the residents of Sri Khanda. There were 3 devotees, Mukunda Das, his son Raghunandan and his younger brother Narahari Sadakar. Lord Chaitanya, one of his most intimate joys in life was to speak about his loving feelings toward his devotees. Sometimes he would speak about his devotees, their glories, as if he had 5 mouths. Sometimes it is explained he spoke as if he had 1,000 mouths. He loved to glorify the Vaishnavas. And this is a very important principle. Srila Prabhupada told us that Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya in the role of a devotee to teach us how to be a devotee. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaudadvishe. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, but he's exhibiting magnanimity, mercy, compassion, even beyond what he did when he was appearing as Krishna. Srila Prabhupada tells Lord Chaitanya came in the mood of a devotee, especially to teach by his own example how to be a devotee. Who knows better how to please Krishna than Krishna? And even deeper than that, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Radha Bhava Tuti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Lord Chaitanya comes, he's Krishna with the Mahabhav, the love, the devotion of Sri Radha. Who knows what pleases Krishna more than Srimati Radharani, his own Vladini Shakti? Even Krishna wants to know what it is about himself that gives Radharani such happiness. So the most intimate revelation of Krishna's heart is revealed through the life of Lord Chaitanya. To the residents of Kulinagram, they asked Lord Chaitanya. There was one Satyaraj. He said, I'm a grihasta, a householder with a family and so many duties to perform in this world. What is the means by which I could please Krishna? What is my duty? And Lord Chaitanya told him, you should always chant the names of Krishna, and you should serve Krishna and serve the Vaishnavas. He asked, how do we know who is a Vaishnava? And Lord Chaitanya answered this question on 3 consecutive years in 3 different ways. First, he says a Vaishnava is anyone who sincerely chants the name of Krishna. You should serve that person whenever possible. And the next year, he said, anyone who's constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna is a devotee. And the next year he said the greatest Vaishnav is one who not only does he sincerely chant Krishna's names, not only is he constantly chanting Krishna's name, but whoever comes in contact, he inspires them to chant Krishna's names. Always try to serve such people. And then he turned to Mukunda Das. And he looked out at all the devotees and said, let me tell you something about this Mukunda Das. He's a family man with wife, with children, and he appears to be just a doctor. He's a royal physician, but his love for Krishna is so deep. And then Lord Chaitanya, with great enthusiasm, explained an example of Mukunda Das's love for Krishna. He said, one time the king was on a very high platform. He was a Mughal king. And he was asking Mukunda Das about some medicines and how to take the medicines. So Mukunda Das was sitting, he was standing next to the king and he was explaining this about medical care. At that time, one of the servants of the king came with an umbrella to shade the king from the sun. And within that umbrella, there were peacock feathers. As soon as Mukunda Das saw this peacock feather, he thought of Krishna. And because of his love for Krishna, his prema, he entered into a state of ecstasy. He fell unconscious and rolled off the high platform onto the ground and was laying there. When the king saw this, he became very afraid. He ran down, he sprinkled Mukunda Das with water. He said, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" And Mukunda Das said, "Yes, I'm all right." He said, "Well, what happened to you?" Mukunda Das, in his humility, he didn't say, "I saw a peacock feather and thought of Krishna, went into ecstasy." He said, "Actually, I have a disease. It's something like epilepsy. And sometimes this happens to me at the least expected moment, but now I'm fine." But he was such a great personality that even the Mughal king could understand that the real reason why he fell off the stage is because of his ecstatic love of God that was invoked by a peacock feather. How Lord Chaitanya was praising Mukunda as if he had 5 mouths is very instructive. In Shikshastakam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, Trinarapi Sunichena Taror Iba Sihishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadhari. To be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, to be eager to offer all respect to others and expect none in return. This was Mukunda Das's nature. And it's this nature that Lord Chaitanya was praising to teach us what pleases him. A devotee does not want to become famous as a great devotee. A devotee simply wants to please Krishna. In fact, Srila Prabhupada explains that the greater we become, the more advanced we become in Krishna consciousness, the more we consider ourselves to be everyone's servant. Lord Chaitanya himself, he identified as Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayora Das 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 Anudas. So this is a way that we can understand we're making spiritual advancement. And it's also the austerity we should try to perform to make spiritual advancement. Not to be respected as great, but to feel joy in respecting other devotees' spiritual qualities. To appreciate wherever we see Krishna consciousness. Because as long as we are obsessed with wanting to be honored and respected ourselves, we can't really appreciate others. And Lord Chaitanya's teaching, if we want to please Krishna, we actually have to learn to appreciate others. Amanina manadena. Then Lord Chaitanya said to Mukunda, are you Raghunandan's father, and is he your son? Or is Raghunandan your father, and are you his son? Now this is a really esoteric question, because everyone knows Mukunda Sarakar is Raghunandan's father, so why is Lord Chaitanya asking him, is Raghunandan your father and are you his son? Lord Chaitanya said, this is my curiosity, please clear my doubts. And Mukunda Das replied, he said, with all certainty, I am definitively telling you that Raghunandan is my father and I am his son. Because Raghunandan is inspiring our whole family in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, I consider him my father and my guru. Lord Chaitanya wanted us to understand this principle. He's seeing his own son as his father because of his son's devotion. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with this. He said, yes, what you are saying is correct. One who inspires our Krishna consciousness is to be taken like a guru, like a father. When Raghunandan was just a little boy, he was given, at 5 years old, the service of helping his father worship the deity of Gopinath in their home. And one day, Mukunda, his father, was called by the king to give some medical advice. So Mukunda told little Raghunath, he said, you should do the offering today for Gopinath. Raghunandan said, how do I do the offering? He said, your mother will give you a plate of bhoga, you put it on the altar, you ring the bell, and you ask Gopinath to eat. You say this mantra. So that sounded easy enough. So Raghunandan put the plate on the altar and rang the bell and said, Gopinath, please eat. And Gopinath ate the way deities always eat. He accepts the love and the devotion in the food. But Raghunandan, he saw that the food was still on the plate. And so he said, Gopinath, why are you not eating? And he was thinking himself such a fallen soul that Gopinath's not accepting his offering. He started to cry. He was begging, please eat. My father wants you to eat. So Gopinath said to Raghunandan, I already ate. I glanced and I tasted it. And Raghunandan said, but it's still on the plate, all the food. I don't understand all this philosophy of glancing. So Gopinath, he's still there at Srikhanda. You can go to that temple. He's a stone deity by a certain standard. Gopinath came down and ate everything on the plate. And then Raghunandan was very happy. And he took the plate off. And his mother was standing there waiting. And she saw nothing on the plate. She said, what happened? You were on the altar a long time. And Raghunandan said, Gopinath ate everything. He's supposed to eat everything. So when Mukunda Das came back after a long day, he asked his good wife, do you have prasad? And she said, no. He said, where is the prasad? She said, ask your son. He said, Gopinath ate it. So Mukunda Das understood the power of the deity and also understood the power of his son's devotion. So he gave him a laddu and said, offer this. And then Raghunandan went on the altar and the same thing happened. And Gopinath came down and ate half the laddu. And Mukunda was watching and he was so... It is explained that when Mukunda just went, Haribol, he couldn't believe the deity was coming down and eating, then Gopinath left half of the laddu. And to this day, 450 years later, that half laddu is still in the temple, preserved. Then Lord Chaitanya gave 3 instructions. He said to Mukunda, who was a grihasta, he said, you should earn material and spiritual wealth. And he turned to Raghunandan and said, you should worship the deity in the temple. And he turned to Narahari, the uncle of Raghunandan, the brother of Mukunda. He said, you should stay with the devotees and preach Krishna consciousness. 3 simple instructions. But Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, he tells us how all these 3 are equal. According to our nature, according to our particular role in society, Lord Chaitanya is telling us what pleases him. For a person with family, earn material and spiritual wealth. Raise your family, but with Krishna in the center. And many of Lord Chaitanya's most elevated, intimate associates were grihastas with families. Advaitacharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Srivas Thakur, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Mukunda Das, Shivananda Singh. Some of the most intimate, exalted of all Lord Chaitanya's associates were householders. In fact, Vasudev Dutt, he was a householder, and he was such a compassionate person that everything he had, he would just give away. He was the one that begged Lord Chaitanya in such profound compassion that my only desire in life is that the sins of every living being in the entire universe fall on my head, and that I suffer hellish conditions perpetually so that they could all go back to Godhead and be liberated in your service. And he meant it. Lord Chaitanya cried. His voice was choked up. He said, this is not a surprise that you're asking for this, because you are Prahlad Maharaj. He exemplified the same spirit of compassion. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes that the service that pleases Krishna the most is when we're willing to endure difficulties to give others Krishna consciousness, to show compassion to others. When Lord Chaitanya was telling this story about Vasudev Dutt, it was as if he had thousands of mouths. That is how he was appreciating. But Vasudev Dutt, as a person with a family, had to take responsibility, earn material and spiritual wealth. So Lord Chaitanya told Shivananda Sain that you should oversee the finances for Vasudev Dutt, because he has to take care of himself and his family too. Otherwise, he just gives everything away. And he gave Shivananda Sain the instruction at that time that you should bring all the devotees from Bengal to Puri every year to see me and take care of all of their needs. Now, how did he do that? He was arranging all the prasad, he was arranging all the transport, he was arranging all the taxes and the tolls that were between different sections of of Bengal and Orissa. He worked all year. And one of Shivananda Sain's children, Lord Chaitanya gave special mercy to, but that's another story. Lord Chaitanya said to Shivananda Sain, your family is my family. So to earn material and spiritual wealth, that was his instruction to the Grihastha community. To put Krishna in the center. And for Raghunandan, take care of the deities. Very important. We should not underestimate the service of a Grihastha who's earning material and spiritual wealth with Krishna in the center. We should not underestimate the pujari who's taking care of Krishna, dressing, offering. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, I remember at one time, I heard him explain how whatever the pujari is offering Krishna, he's offering on behalf of the whole community. It's not just the pujari offering arti. He's offering the arti on behalf of not only the whole ashram, but the whole community around the temple. And for Narahari, you should stay with the devotees, and together with them, you should preach Krishna consciousness. Narahari Sarakar was the guru of Lochan Das Thakur, the author of Sri Chaitanya Mangala. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encouraged all of us to perform our duties by keeping Krishna in the center of our lives. To the residents of Kulinagram, he said, the duty of a grihasta, and for that matter, the duty of a brahmachari and a sannyasi, is whatever other responsibilities we have, and we do it with character in a mood of service, and as a servant of the servant, we should always be striving to be remembering Krishna, speaking about Krishna. In fact, this was Lord Chaitanya's last instruction to the devotees as they were just about to leave. He went with them to the border of Puri, and just as he was seeing them off until the next year, he said, speak about Krishna. Chant the names of Krishna. Always try to remember Krishna in whatever you're doing. Srila Prabhupada, he took this message at Ultadunga Junction Road in 1922. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada gave Srila Prabhupada this simple message. Take the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to the Western world in the English language. And Srila Prabhupada went to the West. I believe we all know the incredible sacrifice of compassion that Srila Prabhupada made to go to the West on a cargo ship. It was all arranged here in Mumbai. And then it was his desire to come back to India to expand this movement. In 1970, Srila Prabhupada returned with just a handful of devotees. And it's interesting to know that these devotees that Prabhupada entrusted with establishing a movement in the entire nation of India. They were all devotees for only, at the most, 2 or 3 years. And they did it. They created a Hare Krishna explosion throughout this land. Within about a year from their coming, there was groundbreaking ceremonies in Mumbai and Vrindavan and Mayapur. There was Harinams with hundreds and thousands of people coming. And one of the devotees who came here with Srila Prabhupada was Shamsundar Prabhu. And he's an incredible writer. He was right there at Srila Prabhupada's side practically throughout the day, every day, year after year. This volume 2, volume 1 explains Shamsundar Prabhu's eyewitness account of Srila Prabhupada establishing Krishna consciousness in San Francisco and London. And now he's about to take us into Srila Prabhupada's pastimes in India. It's incredible. It's miraculous. It's unbelievable what Srila Prabhupada did when he came back here to India. And it's unbelievable, incredible, and miraculous how he empowered these simple American and European devotees who really hardly knew anything about anything to establish massive programs and establish temples. So I don't want to speak any longer because I want everyone to have the opportunity to hear Shyamsundar Prabhu speak. But even more than that, I'm humbly requesting everyone to buy at least one of his books tonight. I don't usually ask favors from people, but I'm asking it for your own benefits. Shyamsundar will be very happy, and Prabhupada will be very happy. Please read this wonderful book. Thank you very much.
Deepest gratitude to you, my dearest friend, Sri Radhanath Swami. And very deep gratitude to my dear friends here at Juhu, Raja Hari and Bhima. He's not here right now, but dear Bhima, and to all the other dear friends here. Guleshwar and Sundar Chaitanya and Parijata, all my other dear God brothers and God sisters, God friends here at Radha Rasa Bihari Temple. 49 years ago and 1 month, December 21st, 1971, I was with Srila Prabhupada walking these grounds for his first vision of the Juhu property. We walked the grounds one day with Mr. Nair. It was a mosquito-infested coconut orchard, basically, surrounding 3 large old apartment houses filled with tenants and people, long-term tenants. We said, Srila Prabhupada, we'll never be able to move off all of these people. And besides that, we're so far from Bombay, no one will come out here. But Srila Prabhupada had an unshakable dream for this land. He wanted to call it Hare Krishna City. Now, just see what you have done with this Hare Krishna land. Most of all, my deepest gratitude to Krishna for giving me this long life now, almost 78 years, to recount and broadcast the glories, the inconceivable glories of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. who appeared in this as Radhanath said, in the Western world 54 years ago to plant this ancient seed of Krishna consciousness in a world gone mad. Most of you know all the stories, how it happened, how Srila Prabhupada captured a few of us, and how in such short time the Hare Krishna culture expanded around the world. But do you know the real story of India? It's right here. Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, Volume 2. It starts with day 1, October 3rd, 1970. Just a few months shy of 50 years ago, Srila Prabhupada arrived in Bombay with 20 of us, his Western disciples. And the reason and purpose of Srila Prabhupada's visits to India, his mission in India, is clearly stated in one of the purports in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'll just read that. For the past 2,000 years, India has been subjugated by the rule of foreigners, and the legs of progress have been broken. In the Western countries, the eyes of the people have become blind due to the dazzling glitter of material opulence. The blind man of the Western countries and the lame man of India should combine together in this Krishna consciousness movement. Then the lame man of India can walk with the help of the Westerner, and the blind Westerner can see with the help of the lame man. In short, the material advancement of the Western countries and the spiritual assets of India should combine for the elevation of all human society. So this partnership, the lame man of India and the blind man from the West. To create this partnership was Srila Prabhupada's, and is Srila Prabhupada's mission in India. In his first lecture in Bombay, which happened to take place on Chowpatty Beach, just a few blocks from the present-day Radha Gopinath temple, Srila Prabhupada famously said, "Unfortunately, Indian people are so much bewildered that they are giving up their God-conscious culture. They want to imitate the West. My mission was that I shall go to America, and if some of the American boys and girls, the younger section, would accept it, then I'll bring them here to show these Indians that how great their culture is. That is my policy." So think about this a little bit. 1970 in India. Your country is only 20 years old. The British have left. You're a new country. It was an important historical window that Prabhupada came through in 1970. A new nation, finding its national identity, the new country of India, the rebirth of India, and the rebirth of your spiritual roots, all at the same time. Prabhupada stepped through that perfect window in time to come here and reintroduce you to Krishna. So into this land, struggling with new birth, came one old man, 74 years old, and 20 children, inexperienced children. We came here on one-way tickets. We had no money. Suddenly dropped into this strange and exotic land. I mean, our idea of India in those days were these guys with turbans around their heads playing flutes in front of a cobra coming out of a basket. That was India. So Srila Prabhupada called us to India by letter In those days, there was no cell phones, no emails. He sent individually out 20 invitations by letter to 20 of us scattered around the West. So there was a lot of uncertainty involved in that. Oh, we got a letter, we're supposed to meet Prabhupada in Bombay? Geez, I've only got $30 in my pocket. So we all had to somehow make our way here. There was no certainty, there was no plan. We didn't even know each other yet. I knew 2 or 3 of the devotees who came with me, like Gurdas and Jamuna, of course, and Malati. But I didn't know Tamal Krishna or Giriraj or any of these other young people who came from different parts of America. We just all met here, spontaneously, with Srila Prabhupada, with no plan and no money. All the stories are here. Very exciting stories, how it all happened. But we had our commander-in-chief. In India, Srila Prabhupada was the commander-in-chief, the general of a little army, because we didn't know how to do anything. Prabhupada had to teach us how to eat, how to sleep, how to brush our teeth, how to open a bank account, how to talk with people in India. Prabhupada had to instruct us in every detail. But he would organize us with his ancient system of integrated knowledge. And that bound us together tight in a certain rules of action. What Srila Prabhupada said to do, we did. And applying our American ways of doing things to India. At our first big public meeting at this Bharatya Sadhu Samaj on Chowpatty Beach, Prabhupada said, "So these, my disciples, practically millions of people in Western countries, are chanting Hare Krishna and taking up this, your Indian spiritual culture. Now you have forgotten. You want to be like them, after money and motor cars. In 1,000 years, you cannot have motor cars like they have. Now they want Krishna, that is all. They want your spiritual treasure house, which you have neglected. This is your wealth, Bhagavad Gita, why you do not give." So this was sensational news in India to the people of Bombay. The West wants our spiritual culture? That night, we gathered in Prabhupada's room, and he told us the story of the Maharajas, the traditional Maharajas, that when they took an Indian wife, an English wife, if a Maharaja took an English wife, they called her his white elephant. So he looked at us and he says, "Now you are all my dancing white elephants." It was an immediate citywide sensation every day with headlines in all the newspapers. And then Prabhupada saw this huge response in Bombay, and he immediately decided to make Bombay his Indian headquarters. Everything, it was sensational, newspapers, magazines. The biggest Bollywood star at the time was named Dev Anand, and he lived, I think, right over here somewhere. But he came to visit Prabhupada and the devotees, and so all the news was splashed in the film magazines. And Prabhupada and his dancing white elephants became the sensation, first of Bombay, and then spreading around the country very quickly. First thing we did was started Sankirtan on the streets. Prabhupada stopped us after about a week and said, "People will think you are beggars if you do Sankirtan and collect money." So he started that life membership program. It was a great idea to get the leaders. If the leaders join, others will follow. At first, the price was 1,111 rupees for life membership. That's, I don't know, 11,000 or more rupees today. So we had to approach the elite, the wealthy elite in India first. But this was Srila Prabhupada's technique. He always looked ahead. And he taught us to act like this. He said, have no fear. Risk everything. Nothing is impossible. And chase the rhino, he said. And when we first arrived in India, we expected to see Krishna everywhere. For the last few years, we'd been hearing all about Krishna. Krishna was our new life. We got to Bombay and eagerly looked around the streets. Where is Krishna? Wait a minute, there's no Krishna here. We can't even see, the name Krishna isn't even anywhere in Bombay. Where's the Krishna temple? Oh, we have no Krishna temple. Shiva was there. We saw Shiva. We saw Ganesh here and there. And this lady with 8 arms with all the skulls around her neck, she was very popular. Where is Krishna? I think it's important to understand that for you now, because now you see, look at all these Krishna people. Everywhere you go, there's Krishna now in your lives. Krishna sweet shop, Krishna bicycle shop, Krishna hotel. Krishna is the most popular god in India nowadays. But 50 years ago, Krishna was nearly extinct in this country. All the stories are here in this book. And I think it's very important for you to understand how this happened, that Prabhupada put Krishna back into the Indian culture. One thing we Americans knew how to do was put on a show. So we got a hold of the Cross Maidan, downtown Bombay, and put on a fabulous show. For 10 days, Srila Prabhupada spoke. Over 1 million people came and saw Prabhupada for the first time. And that was it. From that moment on, from Cross Maidan, March 1971, Krishna consciousness spread all over India like wildfire. And one of the young boys in the audience, he was sitting further back than this audience, way, way in the back, was a young boy from Chicago named Richard Slavin. He's a tough act to follow, but there he is. And one thing Radhanath told me was that he'd been carrying around a picture in his pocket for 6 months of a beautiful man with his leg bent, playing a flute with a peacock feather in his hair. And he treasured that picture, but he didn't know who he was. You see how scarce Krishna used to be in this country? For months he wandered with this picture. He didn't know who he was until he saw our Krishna book at the Cross Maidan festival. And there were no, it was culture shock for us from the West to come to this exotic place. But it was culture shock for the people of India to see us like this too. So for the first 6 months, no Indian persons came forward to be devotees. Almost 6 months. We hoped and hoped some Krishna, young Indian people would become Krishna devotees. Now just see. The first Indian boy who became a devotee, at least here in Bombay, was a Parsi boy. He became Mahamsa Das. And then at this Cross Maidan festival, a young man named Raghunath Patil decided to become a devotee, and you know him now as Radhanath Swami. And then in June 1971, the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, Prabhupada asked me to be his private personal secretary. So this is when the adventures really began, and they're all described here. I won't take up a lot of time reading or describing these adventures, but I should mention this one. The first place we went was Moscow, June 1971. Those days, the world was firmly divided into two camps, communism and capitalism. And there was an iron curtain between them, and you couldn't, from one side to the other, you couldn't go. But Prabhupada kept saying, I want to go to Russia. I need to go to Russia. He said, those people need Krishna more than anyone else on the planet. So somehow or other we got this visa and we went to Moscow. We had 5 days, a tourist visa, and it included hotels, food, and sightseeing tours. To see the Soviet miracle in action. I didn't know what to do. We didn't have any friends there. We had no contacts, no plan. I just prayed to Krishna, oh, please, somehow or other, please make Prabhupada happy here. And what happened then, I call it the 5 days that changed the world. They're described in this book, almost hour by hour, how this incredible manifestation of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual, mystic powers. The second day we were there, I met one young Russian boy. And in 3 days, he sat with Prabhupada for 3 days, and Prabhupada made him a perfect devotee, a pure devotee in 3 days. To read that description is to understand a little bit more about Prabhupada's powerful. And from Moscow, we went to Paris and San Francisco and London and New York and Africa. And then after 4 months, Prabhupada returned to India to complete his magic mission here. This is the most exciting part about this book. You'll see Prabhupada's most powerful display in India, how over the next 6 months, from October 1971 to end of March 1972, Srila Prabhupada conquered the entire nation. The first stop was in Calcutta, Deshapriya Park, 10,000 people a day for 10 days. Then on to Delhi, 10 days in Connaught Circus with the political elite of India announcing Srila Prabhupada every night. 10,000 people a night at least. The Minister of Finance, the Minister of Defense announced him. Then down to Vrindavan, our first trip to Vrindavan with Srila Prabhupada. How he made us see through this little dusty village. He made us see he made us see Krishna in that place. We couldn't believe it at first. What is this? A few Vaishnavas loitering on the streets, mostly old people. A few bells ringing in here and there. But where's Krishna? Where's Vrindavan? Where's the Vrindavan we've been reading about? Gradually, he showed us this little temple, Radha Damodar. Oh, Radha Damodar temple is so small. We thought it was a huge palace. And then gradually, he let us see Krishna in that small place. And now, 50 years later, you can't even get into Vrindavan. The roads are choked with traffic. Raman Reti is now the center of Vrindavan, when it used to be a mile from the city center. And then on to the first day at Juhu. On December 21st, Prabhupada and 3 devotees rendezvoused with Mr. Nair at Juhu and walked the property. It seemed so far away to me, about an hour's drive from downtown Bombay. We motored north from Akashganga through crowded ghettos, reeking of fish. Then the homes got nicer, enclosed by compound walls, interspersed with rice paddies and coconut groves. The Juhu land is spacious and thickly covered in tall coconut palms. But dominating the property is a 3-story apartment complex, several buildings filled with tenants. Okay, there's plenty of room to build around them, and this is India. You sort of take what you get here and learn to live with it. There's an open 40-foot well in the center of the property, and people walking down 2 flights of cement stairs to fetch water from a pool. Laundry is drying all over the place. The land has a rural yet big city feel to it. Kids playing cricket, indie pop music from a radio somewhere, occasional taxi horns outside the compound, but birds singing and possible cobras, sea breezes, and watch out for falling coconuts. Srila Prabhupada inspects the grounds in a serious but light holiday mood, disguising his pleasure at what he was seeing, bantering with his disciples and Mr. Nair, who points to an apartment and says, "Mahatma Gandhi used to live here." Prabhupada is the suave strategist, wheels in his head churning out points for negotiation. Mr. Nair is obviously pleased to show us the place, his mind wheels cranking out how to rip off this deep-pocket Swami and his American disciples, the sons of bankers and millionaires. That was the first day in Juhu. Then on to Jaipur, Madras, Visakhapatnam, and Calcutta, then on to Mayapur. You've all read about the early days of the struggle at Mayapur, a few acres of land that flooded every year, bandits. At this time also was the war going on in East Bengal and Bangladesh, and thousands of refugees were pouring into the Mayapur area. This was a difficult time in Mayapur, Nadia province. But despite all these difficulties, Prabhupada powered ahead, and he laid the cornerstone there on February 29th, 1972. Now note this date, because 2 weeks later, he acquired and laid the cornerstone at Vrindavan. 2 weeks. And then, note that date, that was March 13th, 1972. Now, then we rushed to Juhu, and he laid the cornerstone here on March 23rd. So calculate it out. It's less than a month. It's barely more than 3 weeks. Srila Prabhupada laid the cornerstones for these 3 giant properties in India. Now, if that isn't a mystic power, I don't know what is. So, by the 1st of April, 1972, Srila Prabhupada's work in India was booming. It was just 18 months since he arrived here. And against all odds, we were a powerful force. Srila Prabhupada and a little army of Western devotees. 20 devotees. Our eyes were opened by Vedic knowledge. We went on to raise Krishna's flag here in India. His message stormed across and captured the country. Yeah, there's hundreds of stories here, so I won't take more time. On April 1st, we flew down to Australia, then to New Zealand, Hong Kong, Japan, Hawaii, back to Los Angeles. All the stories are here. Prabhupada's adventure thriller. And that's it. That's volume 2. There's more to come in volume 3 about India. But I've written volume 2 really for you, the devotees of India, especially for you, so you can better understand the unimaginable foresight and the boundless energy and the profound determination of Srila Prabhupada. How from almost nothing, I mean, Krishna consciousness was nearly extinct in India in 1970. How in such a short time he laid the groundwork and structure for the vast power and influence of Krishna consciousness in India today. And as I passed through almost 4 years of research and writing this book, I was more amazed each day by this superhuman, perfect person called Srila Prabhupada. How he could perform such magic deeds. When you're in it day to day, you don't see it. Now I can see it from afar, from 50 years later. It was a cosmic, dazzling display of Prabhupada's energy in India. I'm kind of old myself now, but actually I'm more optimistic than ever. Just seeing, Prabhupada always said that he didn't want millions of stars. He just wanted one moon. And as I look out on all your faces tonight, I see so many moons rising. It makes my heart swell with pride that I was able to see all this happen. Prabhupada used to tell us every day, you must help me change the world. So on this is your 73rd birthday, your Republic Day, where the miracle of rebirth of your country joined with the miracle rebirth of Krishna consciousness. I only have one wish for you on this Republic Day. That you use everything within your power to change the world. Now, this book is for you, dear friends. I'll be after signing books in the back. I pray you will help me in this loving endeavor to our spiritual master. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shyam Sundar Prabhu. Now His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj will be leading the Kirtan. We request everyone to join the Kirtan. And there are 2 short announcements. On 30th January, Vasanta Panchami, there is going to be Jagannath Ratha Yatra in Shivaji Park. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj will be giving a special lecture in the program. That is 30th January, Vasanta Panchami Day. Also, there is a stall behind. So Shyam Sundar Prabhu's stall is there. He is going to sign the books. Those who want to buy the books, you can buy. Also, there is another stall from Vrindavan Gurukul. Srila Prabhupada established Vrindavan Gurukul. Now they are shifted to a 60 acres plot with the Goshala and organic farming. And they have ICSE syllabus from standard 2 to 12th standard. And admission is open. You can get the information there. There is also opportunity for teachers to teach in the school. So all the information is available in the stall of Vrindavan Gurukul in the back. Now His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj will read the Kirtan. We request everyone to join. Also, Prasadam service will start. Not that everyone has to go to Prasadam. Those who have to leave early, you may go. But others, we are requesting you to join with the dancing Kirtan with His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj Kirtan. Hare Krishna.